Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 6th part of What If Naruto Found Hidden Lab in Waves. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Hokage Tower, August 1st, 4:15 p.m. Naruto told everyone to stay outside because it wouldn't be long, then followed the Hokage up into the office, the four kunoichi close behind. Hiruzen entered the office and sat behind his desk, watching Naruto talk to Anko and listening to their conversation. Anko couldn't believe what she was about to hear. "Are you kidding, Naruto-kun?" Naruto simply smiled. "Of course I am. You've been my friend for years, and now that I have space, you are more than welcome to move into my compound. I know you always complain about how your landlord keeps changing the rent on you, but it's the least I can do for everything you've done for me." Anko wraps Naruto in a hug and whispers, "Thank you." Naruto notices her trembling and wraps his arms around her. "It'll be fine. Now you and all of your new little brothers and sisters will live together as one big family. Right now." Hiruzen coughed to draw Naruto's attention. "I hope you've been practicing for the finals, Lord Uzumaki." Naruto addresses the Hokage. "Don't worry, by the time I'm finished, I'll have changed everything you know about being a shinobi," he said, his trademark Uzumaki grin on his face. "Now, if you'll excuse me, Hiruzen, I need to get back to the children before they destroy the village out of boredom, because as you all know, a bored Uzumaki usually causes collateral damage." The women in the room laugh. Hiruzen tells Naruto he is free to go with a small smirk on his face. Naruto abruptly stopped and walked back as he approached the door. "I almost forgot, I do have business with you. It has come to my attention that on the day you became Hokage for the first time, my great-aunt Mito Uzumaki, who was a master at Fuinjutsu, gave you an all-seeing orb so you could watch over the village, which I know you've abused on many occasions, such as spying on women in the hot spring." When the four kunoichi in the room hear this, they give the Hokage a glare that would make most men jump out the window, clutching their crotch in terror. Kurenai casts a glance at Naruto. "Are you certain about Naruto-kun?" Naruto gave a nod. "I caught him doing it a couple of times. He always made up a lie about getting a report of someone breaking into the hot spring and just checking." Hiruzen looked at Naruto, stunned. "You must understand, Naruto, that item is very important to me. It's one of the few things that remind me of my late sensei and his wife." Naruto's face became stern. "Then you shouldn't have abused it. That orb was given to you by the Uzumaki clan so you could protect this village. The moment you let the first mob chase me down and beat me, you betrayed that trust, and that's why I never got to meet my great-aunt. I know she'd be ashamed of everything you've done in my regard, and I as the new Uzumaki clan head hereby reclaim that item until such time." Hiruzen looked at Naruto with sadness in his eyes as he reached into his bottom drawer and pulled out the orb. Naruto approached the desk, removing a scroll from his robe and sealing the orb inside. "Could you please tell me who the two people in the golden fox masks in your party are, Lord Uzumaki?" "They're personal guards of the Uzumaki clan, and their identities are none of your concern," Naruto explained, then turned to Anko and smiled. "Feel free to move into the compound at any time," Naruto said as he walked out the door, closing it behind him. Hiruzen takes a small breath and turns to face the kunoichi in his office. "What did you discover while you were in Wave?" Kurenai took a step forward, not hiding her rage, and began to report on everything they had seen. The new laws that were passed, how he was able to design a new seal for women while not providing any other information, and how the academy was established. Leaving aside the new dress code, which should hopefully eliminate fangirls. put the new graduation test on the desk and gave him a copy of the speech Naruto gave outside of their academy before explaining how they came home. And with that, Hokage-sama, we conclude our report. Hiruzen takes a quick glance at the new paperwork. Thank you for your report. The 4 of you have been dismissed. Before you leave, where is Iruka? Anko responded. He sustained a head injury and was forced to spend the night in Wave Country. That's when the Hokage noticed the time. How did you transport so many people so quickly? Kurenai responded. We are not at liberty to tell you because it is an Uzumaki clan secret, and none of us are going to betray the Uzumaki clan who gifted us with knowledge of this technique, especially with everything he has done recently between the law that he revealed in this new seal that he has made, and now finding out that he took the one thing you were using to spy on women. He has gained our respect to a level that I don't think was possible. I'm sorry, Sensei, and to you as well, Minato. I failed all of you, he said, his head bowed, before summoning his secretary. Could you please bring me some tea? She snorts and glares at him. Get it yourself. I'm going on my break, she said coldly, turning and walking out the door, slamming it shut behind her. 4:45 p.m., outside the Hokage Tower. As Naruto walked away from the tower, he heard the sounds of a fight. Quickly approaching the crowd and pushing his way through, he is surprised to see none other than Neji Hyuga attempting to drag both Hinata and Hanabi by the wrist. As Hiyashi-sama has ordered, you must accompany me back to the compound. You are shaming and dragging the Hyuga clan through the mud by hanging out these commoners, Neji exclaimed. We're not coming back with you, we're no longer Hyugas, we're now Uzumaki clan members, and you have no right to do this to us. Hanabi exclaims emphatically as they both struggle further. Hanabi bites Neji's wrist as he lets go of both of their wrists and glares at her for a moment before raising his hand to hit her. Before he has a chance to react, her instincts take over and she delivers a lightning-fast kick to his crotch with such force that he is briefly lifted off the ground, then drops to his knees with both hands clutching himself, and finally falls on his side into a mud puddle. Hinata storms up to him, grabs the front of his shirt, and lifts him up face to face, her face devoid of humanity. If you ever try to hurt me or anyone in my new family again, I'll make you regret the day you were born. Know this, Neji Hyuga. The days of the weak and shy little girl that you used to bully are gone, and you can deliver that message to my ex-father as well, she said coldly, then threw him face down in the mud. She smiled shyly and blushed brightly as she turned to face the crowd behind her, which erupted in applause. No one seemed to notice Hanabi move quickly between Neji's spread legs, subtly but forcefully stepped on his balls, briefly ground her foot down hard, then quickly moved back to her spot a few feet away from him with a subtle grin of satisfaction. Naruto approached Hinata and drew her into a one-armed hug. That was fantastic, Hinata-chan, you know Kurenai is going to be so proud of you, he said, looking around the group. Now that Hanabi-chan and Hinata-chan have delivered their message, let's go to the compound, he said, smiling and nodding slightly, letting Hanabi know he saw what she did and was proud of her. A gruff male voice calls out before the group can leave. What exactly is going on here? Naruto turns toward the voice and notices Ibiki Morino, head of the T&I division, and 3 other Anbu behind him. When Ibiki notices Naruto, he takes his right hand and pinches his nose, causing Naruto to smirk. Why is it that whenever there is an incident in this village, you always seem to be at the scene of the crime, Uzumaki? Ibiki wondered. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck. To tell you the truth, I'm beginning to believe that my family is cursed and that we are just drawn to trouble like a moth to the flame. At least this time I'm not responsible. If you want the one responsible, he's right there, he said, pointing to Neji, who was still laying on the ground. He tried to kidnap 2 of my clansmen by force and paid the price. Ibiki makes a hand gesture, and the 3 Anbu apprehend Neji and place him in chakra cuffs. Just stay out of trouble until the finals are over, and I'll treat you to a bowl of ramen. I don't need any more paperwork on my desk than I already do. Naruto can hear him muttering under his breath, "How Anko finally defeated it is beyond me." Naruto begins leading his new family away and says over his shoulder, "By the way, Ibiki, aren't shadow clones just the best for doing housework and running errands for you? And getting all the memories when they pop is just a bonus." Ibiki Morino, head of the T&I division and one of the scariest men in the village, having earned the nickname the Mind Reaper and a man who could make other grown men cry for their mothers simply by walking into the room, stood there for a few moments thinking about what Naruto had just said, when it hit him. To the amusement of those around him, he walked over to the wall and began banging his head on it over and over. Stupid, stupid, stupid. 5:30 p.m., Uzumaki Compound, front gate. Naruto stood outside the main gate, cut his hand with a kunai, placed it in the center of the door, and channeled his chakra through the blood seal. After a brief pause, the doors swing open, revealing the Uzumaki compound. He nods to his parents, who are leading the way to the main complex. He looks to his mother as they walk through the streets, seeing all the empty houses, stores, and a small park. This is similar to the Uchiha district before it was abandoned. Kushina, now safely inside the compound and out of sight of the villagers and shinobi, removes her hood and mask. Well, there weren't as many Uzumaki, so we didn't need as large a compound. After the last Uzumaki left shortly before the Second Shinobi War, the compound was sealed so nobody could steal anything that was inside of it. I would frequently come here from the Senju compound where I lived as a child and later my apartment, and then I moved in with your father into Namikaze compound, but sadly that was destroyed in the Kyuubi attack. Naruto shakes his head. That makes sense, I suppose, he says to the adults behind him. If any of you see a house or a business that you want, let me know so we can get you set up. He notices that the adults are now taking more interest in the buildings around them, and one of the women, who appears to be looking at a bookstore, walks up to her.
Do you want this one?
The lady nods her head. It'd make a great little bookstore. Kushina approaches them. I remember this store, a cousin of mine used to run it. There's even a little apartment above it, she says. Naruto beams. Well, you can have it if you want it. The woman is staring at him. You're just going to give me a store? Naruto laughs. We're family. And I have no use for it right now anyway, so you might as well use it. Like I said, that goes for everyone. If you see something, just let me know so we can get it sorted out. Those who aren't carrying children begin peering through the windows of empty stores or houses, some asking if they could have this one. Naruto noticed a group of children had stripped off their outer robes and dashed off to the small park, where they were now laughing and playing on the equipment, when he noticed that the entire compound was in pristine condition, as if it had only been locked yesterday, and looked at his mother. How come everything looks like it was just locked up yesterday? Kushina gave him a sly grin. The entire compound is covered in seals, and once the compound is locked, time stops inside it, so it was basically locked yesterday. Naruto noticed one of the women approaching him. Lord Uzumaki, you may proceed to the main building. We will remain here and keep an eye on the children, she explained. Naruto beams. Okay. Just remember not to refer to me as Lord Uzumaki. We're family now, and I won't have my family refer to me as such. You can call me Naruto unless we're in a formal setting where it's required to refer to me as Lord Uzumaki. Main Uzumaki House, 6:15 p.m. Kushina placed her hand on Naruto's shoulder as the group stood outside the main building admiring its beauty. Welcome home, Naruto said, putting his hand on hers and squeezing it. Kushina took them on a tour of the building over the next hour, showing them all of the bedrooms, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the library, the regular and formal dining rooms, and finally the meeting hall. Soon, Naruto and his parents were sitting in the main office, talking and going over last-minute plans for his fight in the finals. Yoruichi was sitting in his lap in her cat form, having separated from the group to allow them to settle in, and some of the women had begun cooking dinner, grateful for having a kitchen the size of an apartment. A knock on the door interrupts Naruto's conversation. "Can you tell me who it is?" One of the men pushes open the door. "I apologize for interrupting, but there are some people outside the gate who would like to speak with you." Naruto gives a nod. "I'll be right there," he says, turning to face his parents. "You'll have to go back to Wave now. If it's who I think it is, they'll recognize you instantly, even if you're covered," Naruto says as he opens the door for them to return to the academy, promising to call the day of the finals. Uzumaki Compound, Front Grounds, 8 o'clock p.m. Walking out the front door, Naruto notices a large group of people standing outside. It's the clans of Inuzuka, Yamanaka, Nara, and Akamichi, who have treated him as a member of the family since he was a child. Walking towards the group, Naruto is on guard as Hana's 3 large dogs rush towards him. Just as they leap into the air to tackle him, Naruto performs the substitution jutsu and replaces himself with Kiba, who is now laying on the ground with 3 large dogs on top of him, causing the entire group to burst out laughing. Naruto then witnessed something he never expected to see. Sume, a woman Naruto always saw as a pillar of strength, a woman he once saw drop to her knees and hug him as she began to cry in front of half a dozen Anbu. "I'm sorry I didn't see it before, Naruto. I always tried to suppress my memories of Kushina so I wouldn't feel the pain. She was my sister in everything but blood. We both swore to protect each other's families if anything happened to the other," Naruto said, wrapping his arms around her and rubbing her back. "You have nothing to apologize for. You have always been there for me since I was a child. You were always there to help me whenever I needed it, just like the rest of the people in this group. You have always been there for me at different stages of my life, so I think you did end up keeping your promise to my mother," Naruto said. "Now that I have my clan heritage and am the acting head of both my mother and father's clans, I hope our clans can become allies," Naruto said, peering over her shoulder. "I hope that applies to all of us," Naruto stated. The other 3 clan heads all smile and nod in agreement. Naruto couldn't stop himself from teasing Sume after seeing their amused expressions. "Now stop crying, get up, wipe your tears, and start acting like that alpha bitch I know and love, or I'll have to kick your butt around the yard, maybe snap a collar around your neck, and walk you around the village like my pet," Naruto stated flatly. Sume stood up, a huge feral grin on his face. "Try it, and you'll have to sleep standing up tonight." "And thank you," she said, taking a step back to allow the others to hug her. Naruto smiles as he spends a few moments being hugged by the other women, shaking hands with the men, and bumping fists with Kiba. "How about joining us for the first dinner in our compound? You can meet the new Uzumaki clan and we can discuss what has happened in the last month. Like why Akamaru has a pink tint." Everyone laughed. Hana took a step forward alongside Naruto and her mother. "It appears that Nariko has continued where you left off and has now become quite the little prankster herself, having already gotten Akamaru, Kiba, and Shikamaru." Naruto turned to face Nariko. "You pranked me, I'm going to get you back. We Uzumaki are quite the pranksters, and I'm the king of pranks. There's not a person in this village I haven't been able to get," he said, then gave her his patented in hell grin, clearly stating that if you mess with me again, I'll make your life a living hell. "So I suggest you give up on trying to get me back and leave the other adults alone as well, understood?" He noticed some color drain from her face and she nodded. He rubbed her head with a smile. "Good, then we won't have to have this conversation again. Now go play," she said, half smiled, nodded, and ran away. They make their way back inside, stopping in the hallway because they hear shouting, and then from around the corner comes the little boy who always seems to run his mouth and get in trouble with the girls, yelling "I'm sorry" while being chased by his sisters. As the group passed them, Naruto reached out and grabbed Aisha from behind, lifting her and smiling at her. What has he done now? Naruto receives a small grin from Aisha. We were sitting at the table for dinner, and we asked him to help, but he said he wasn't going to help do woman's work like set a table, so we're going to show him what woman's work truly is. Naruto pushed her away. Alright, have fun. But before she could flee, Aisha noticed Nariko and ran up to her. Hello, my name is Aisha Uzumaki. Do you want to be friends? Nariko gives a nod. My name is Nariko Inuzuka, and I'm here to help you track down that boy. My mom has been helping me with my training, and I'm not very good right now, but I can help. Before either girl can flee, Naruto grabs their attention. Give him a good wedgie for me, he said, making both girls laugh. Naruto turns to face the group as they flee. I don't know about you, but I have a bad feeling about letting them be friends. I just know trouble is on the way. Everyone laughed. Before Naruto can say anything else, Ino grabs his attention. Don't you have something for all of our moms and Hana, Naruto? Ino asked, tapping her foot and crossing her arms over her ample chest. Sume and Hana, as well as Yoshino Nara, Inoiki Yamanaka, and Chana Akamichi, raised their eyebrows at Naruto. Naruto simply takes out a scroll from his robe and hands it to her. There's a room down the hall. We'll wait here, Naruto said before walking down the hall. Kiba turned to Naruto once the women had entered the room. What's the deal with that? You don't want to know, said Naruto. Kiba stands up in front of Naruto. You tell me what's happening right now and what's in that scroll. Let's put it this way, dog breath. You remember when we were 9 years old and we were sitting in your kitchen playing cards and your mom and sister came in with the groceries and started unloading them. You saw Hannah take out a small box and started bugging her about what it was because she wouldn't tell you. Then you bugged them until your mother and sister gave both of us the talk and we had to find out it was her feminine products. Naruto explained. Kiba, Shikamaru, Choji, and the three fathers all turn white. Shikaku said, troublesome, not realizing his wife was walking up behind him until she smacked the back of his head. Naruto found himself in a bone-crushing hug, which he quickly recognized as being from Chana Akamichi based on the arms and what he felt on his back. Chana let him go and turned around to kiss his forehead a few moments later. Naruto, I want to thank you for what you've been able to create. It's going to help the women of my clan so much. I haven't felt this good since I was a young girl. I know it'll take me time to regain my balance now that I'm not carrying around as much weight, but don't worry, I'll make sure they don't mob you for it. Naruto kissed each of the mothers and Hana after Chana stepped back. Before Naruto can finish his sentence, one of the new servants approaches them. Dinner is now served in the dining room, she declared. Dining room, 8:30 p.m. Throughout dinner, Naruto began to tell those who didn't know what happened in Wave, about the new academy and giving little hints to his new training, and about how he met someone who recognized him and told him about his parents, using the cover his parents helped him make. Naruto had just turned down Kiba's request for a sparring match when the door opened to reveal Anko carrying a small duffel bag. Anko grinned almost nervously at the large group. I hope I'm not interfering with anything. Naruto stood up, walked over to her, and hugged her. You're not bothering anyone, you're a member of this family, and you're more than welcome in this house. After dinner, we'll get you a room, he said as he led her back to the table and sat her next to Aisha and Nariko. Girls, watch out for your big sister, make sure she doesn't get into any trouble, Anko says, sticking out her tongue at him. The rest of the group burst out laughing. About 20 minutes later, after seeing Anko refill her glass with a bottle she brought with her, Aisha's face was red and twisted when he looked back. Nariko was taking a big gulp from a glass that she immediately sat on the table with a similar reaction. It only took an instant for him to notice that they were drinking from Anko's glass. The clear liquid inside, however, was not water, but her favorite brand of sake. He smirked as they would teach them a good lesson because it was too late to do anything else. Both girls collapsed to the floor, gagging, coughing, and otherwise unwell, and Anko grabbed her glass, downed what was left, and burst out laughing. As everyone began to laugh, he summoned a couple of servants to assist the girls in getting up into the bathroom. For many of the parents, this was not the first time they'd witnessed this. Naruto eventually stood. "It's time for bed. We have the finals in a couple of days, and if you want to see it you need to behave, so off to bed with you." The children began to walk out, complaining about how tired they weren't. To the delight of the adults. This left Naruto, the clans, and Hinata, who was still sitting. Naruto was alone with Hinata after saying goodbye to the clan heads and their families. Hinata summoned all of her courage and approached Naruto, kissing him on the cheek with a bright red face before fleeing the room. Naruto smiles as he walks to his room to get ready for bed, knowing that the next few days would be hectic. August 5th, 7 a.m. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and smiled as the sun shone through the window. Today was the finals, and he was going to show everyone the strength of his new family. Looking to his left, he noticed Yoruichi, who had insisted on sleeping next to her fiancé. Feeling a small weight on his stomach, he lifted the blanket to reveal his second bed guest sleeping in between them. Aisha, who had snuck into his bed every night since the first night she arrived back in Wave. While he enjoyed her company, he needed to break her of this habit as soon as possible because he knew that some of his older, more developed female guests, both permanent and temporary, would begin doing the same, but not to sleep. Naruto went to his private bathroom after getting them up and off to the bathroom, and after getting cleaned up, he walked into the dining room to have a good breakfast with his family. "Did you get the equipment set up so the kids can watch the fights, Yoruichi?" Yoruichi nodded. "I really like this equipment you guys had in the Soul Society. You'll be able to watch the fights, but I think it's better that you stay here and watch it with the equipment I brought back from Wave until I'm sure it's safe for you to leave the compound." The children nodded excitedly. Naruto moved his gaze to Hinata and Hanabi. "Would you rather stay here or go to the stadium and watch the fight?" Both replied that they would rather go to the stadium and sit with friends. Naruto nodded and smiled. "Can I please go, big brother? I want to spend more time with my new friend Nariko. I'll sit with her and her mom, and I promise I'll be on my best behavior," Aisha said, then tried to give him the puppy eyes that Nariko had taught her. Naruto had to bite his lip. Those two had become inseparable over the last few days. The duo had gone on a pranking spree trying to get as many people in the family as they could among what Aisha would call safe targets so she didn't upset him, but several of their pranks had backfired on them. "Fine, you can go sit with the Inuzuka clan. But no more pranks until the exams are over," Aisha said, smiling back. 10:30 a.m. Konoha Shinobi Section, Outdoor Stadium. The seats in the stands started to fill up with people who had come to see Naruto and the other finalists, including the clan's main families. Sume looks around at Aisha and Nariko, who both have a large bucket of popcorn and a large cotton candy that Hinata just handed them. "You need to behave while we're here, do you understand?" Both looked up at her and said, "Yes mom, auntie," which made her smile. In the few days she'd known little Aisha, she'd taken to calling her and the other clan heads' wives auntie. She could swear she saw herself and Kushina in the two little girls and knew these two would be friends for a long time. Sume looks behind her, where Anko is telling Kurenai about Naruto's new house. There are also two new women who introduced themselves as Yoruichi and Nemu, explaining that they met Naruto in the Land of Waves and had heard how Yoruichi had declared herself Naruto's fiancé. They remained silent, knowing what an overprotective mother she could be because she saw Naruto as a surrogate son and did not want a fight to break out over her attempting to take Naruto. Sume turned to face Hana, who had just sat down. Where have you been, and what has gone wrong? I just bet my life savings with one of the bookies so Naruto better win his fight. And nothing is wrong. I'm just pissed that they gave me lousy odds because of his status in the village, but even with the lousy odds I'm going to make 8 figures when he wins because they don't know how strong he is, Hana responded. As they looked out into the arena, the only contestants who were missing were Naruto, Sasuke, and the sound ninja whose name no one remembered. Sume would normally be upset if Hana did something like that, but she couldn't this time. Besides, she mentally chastised herself for not betting on him as well, but even if she had remembered, she couldn't leave the kids to do it. Sume looked at Yoshino, who was holding Naruto's book. How did you manage to get your son out of bed and here before Naruto arrived? I told him if he didn't get his $1 here on time, I'd have his father write up a marriage contract for my friend's daughter who drives him insane and is always bossing him around, Yoshino replied with a grin. Ino turns to face Yoshino. You're not talking about me, are you? No way am I marrying that lazy bum. Kiba takes a step forward. How about me? I'd rather marry Akamaru. At least he understands what hygiene is, Ino said as she pushed his face away. Everyone around them began to laugh as Akamaru jumped up on Ino's lap, gave a little bark, then laid down and gave Kiba an amused grin. 11:30 a.m., Hokage booth. Hiruzen had the worst 5 days of his life, dating back to the last war. After Naruto's stunt, the civilian council went on the offensive, and all of his kunoichi gave him evil looks whenever they walked into the room or down the street. He suspected the women of his clan had learned about him through his orb the spy on the hot spring. As Naruto appeared with a flash step, he looked to the right. Let's get this over with, I'm ready to fight, Naruto said. Hiruzen stood and walked up to the balcony's edge, where a microphone was set up. Beginning of Hiruzen's speech. First and foremost, I would like to welcome you all to the Chunin exams finals. Today we show you the strength of our newest generation by testing the strength of all nations. Before these fights begin, there is an announcement I must make. It's well known throughout the elemental nations that 12 years ago the nine-tailed fox attacked our village and we lost a great many people in that fight, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and a great many friends. Hiruzen mentally steeled himself as only an experienced shinobi could as he cast a subtle glance at Naruto. What isn't widely known is their names and bloodline. Mito was the first to bear the burden of containing the nine-tailed fox, and when she died, it was sealed in her niece Kushina. He heard gasps as people recognized her name. She died defending her newborn child after it escaped and attacked Konoha, and Minato tried everything he could to defeat it, but the Biju can't be killed, leaving him with only one option: seal it within someone. Unfortunately, this could only be done with a newborn baby, and being the man he was, he wouldn't ask anyone to do something he could. Hiruzen sighed sadly. So he went to his wife and bought him the time he needed to seal the fox in his own child at the cost of her life. Her name was Kushina, wife of Minato Namikaze, niece of Mito Uzumaki who was the wife of Hashirama Senju, princess of Whirlpool Country and mother of Naruto Uzumaki, which makes Naruto the heir to the Namikaze clan of Konoha and the royal family of Whirl. Which I'll regret for the rest of my life, Naruto said as he stepped forward and waved. At the conclusion of Hiruzen's speech. Seating location. Following this speech, the audience erupted, with some yelling and screaming at the Hokage for lying to them, others apologizing to Naruto and pleading for forgiveness, and still others refusing to believe it. Area for lords and ladies. All of the lords and ladies of the various lands are shooting murderous looks at the Hokage for allowing the child of nobility, especially one who was supposed to take the throne one day, to be treated so poorly. Following this, they would speak with the Hokage about offering Naruto his rightful seat on the Council of Lords. 11:30 a.m. in the main arena. Naruto used the flash step to appear next to Shikamaru. You enjoyed that, Naruto. You're too troublesome for your own good, Shikamaru said in a normal voice, not his tired version. Naruto encircled Shikamaru's shoulder. "Oh, cheer up, we have to put on a good show for the audience," Naruto said. "Troublesome blonde," Shikamaru said.
My name is Genma Shiranui, and we are about to begin, but I must inform you that there has been a slight change in the lineup due to Dosu's disappearance.
He's been removed from the lineup, which means that your second fight Shikamaru has now been cancelled. What about Sasuke, is he going to be disqualified if he doesn't show up for his fight? Naruto inquired. If he isn't here for his fight, I need everyone else to leave except Naruto and Neji, Genma said. After Shikamaru wishes them luck, the rest of the contestants make their way up to the stands to the special booths reserved for the fighters. Neji speaks as Naruto and Neji fight in the middle of the arena. "Do not think I bought that garbage," the Hokage said. "You are nothing more than a peasant who despises the fourth Hokage." Naruto pulls a bottle of sake from his trench coat, 2 small cups, and pours sake into both. It's an Uzumaki family tradition to have a drink with the person we intend to fight, whether it's a friendly fight or before going to war. We'd even send a scout out to the enemy camp to have a drink before a battle to honor our ancestors, and I now carry on this tradition by offering you this sake. The older generation of shinobi and kunoichi around the stadium were filled with pride as they witnessed this. Instead of taking the sake, Neji did something that made the entire stadium gasp. He slapped it out of Naruto's hand and stomped on it with his left hand. Naruto shook his head, drank his sake, and replaced the bottle. "I'm only giving you one chance to apologize for what you did to Hinata, Neji." Neji's reaction was to adopt the gentle fist stance. "I will never apologize for my failure." Naruto shook his head in dismay and adopted his own stance. "I only have one thing to say to you if you continue to resist." Neji's eyes hardened. "And what is that, Uzumaki?" Naruto grinned. "Resistance is pointless." To everyone's surprise, Naruto vanished and reappeared behind Neji, holding his ponytail, once the signal to begin was given. Outdoor Stadium, Konoha, August 5, 10:35 a.m. As Naruto stands behind Neji, holding his ponytail with his left hand, Naruto uses a kunai to cut the ponytail off, leaving his hair almost bowl cut like Lee. In a fit of rage, Neji spun around to attack Naruto, only to vanish and reappear in his original location, holding his ponytail in his left hand. "Uzumaki, that was a cheap trick." Naruto smirked as he let his ponytail fall to the ground and spun the kunai on his finger. "There are no cheap tricks in the shinobi world, this is the way of the world. Strike your enemy down before he makes the first move and you can end the battle quickly." Shinobi section, stands. "Man. Big Brother is the most awesome." Nariko exclaimed, and Aisha agreed with a nod. "You're correct. I hope he becomes my sensei when I graduate from the academy." Aisha smiled as she said this. "Perhaps we could form a team." The girls give each other a high five. Kiba took a look at his new younger sister. "But he's not as cool as I am, is he?" Nariko gives him a look. "Didn't he beat you by farting? If you can be beaten by that, how strong are you?" Everyone in the nearby seats burst out laughing at Kiba, whose face was bright red and resembled Hinata's. The stadium floor. Neji looks at Naruto with venom. "Just give up, Uzumaki. Fate has already decided that I will win, and someone like you will never be able to defeat me. I'm a prodigy who only appears once in a generation." Naruto looks at Neji, bored, and cleans out his ear with his pinky. "I've always despised the term, prodigy, Neji. This entire village brags about how strong they are, but the shocking realization is that the majority of them are complete jerks. Orochimaru was one of the most talented shinobi in his graduating class, but he turned out to be an S-ranked missing ninja who is so afraid of death that he is attempting to become immortal." He sighed as he said this. Kakashi Hatake, who graduated at the top of his class, was given the honor of being the student of the man who would become 4th Hokage, who goes on and on about loyalty to his comrades and never abandoning them, but who does nothing but spend his time reading porn books and holds a grudge against me for something I had no control over, all because the man he saw as a father died. Naruto expressed his displeasure. The fact that he is the son of Tsukumo Hatake, the White Fang of the Leaf, is truly disgraceful. And one of the few prodigies I have any respect for. He chose to abandon a mission when he saw that it was impossible to complete without losing lives, and chose to save the life of his comrades because he knew the truth. That security codes and battle plans can be changed, ground taken in battle can be retaken, but the lives of your comrades cannot be regained, then this entire village turns their back on him. They said he had no honor as a shinobi for abandoning the mission, but in the end he completed Sokyoku. Naruto paused for a moment to take another breath. Then there was Itachi Uchiha. He was held as the greatest prodigy of his clan since Madara Uchiha, and we all know how that turned out. He slaughtered his clan. Which brings me to Sasuke Uchiha. Ever since the massacre he has gone on and on about his revenge. All he talks about is, I'm going to kill my brother and restore my clan. He doesn't even try to make friends, and quite honestly I wouldn't be surprised. Naruto chuckled as he said this. It's ironic that 3 of the top renegade ninjas of the Leaf Village are all members of the Uchiha clan. Those members being Madara Uchiha, Itachi Uchiha, and the unknown Uchiha clan member who attacked my mother the night I was born and unleashed the 9-tailed fox on the village. And yet this village still kisses Sasuke's ass and gives him whatever he wants. Naruto can hear villagers discussing this topic all over the stadium as soon as he reveals it. Looking up into the crowd, he notices a lot of angry expressions as people start to connect the dots. Hokage stand. Hiruzen's eyes narrowed as he gazed down at the stadium. The only thought running through his mind is how Naruto learned about the mystery. As far as he knew, only 2 Uchiha clan members knew about it, himself and Jiraiya. Arena Stadium. Naruto returned his gaze to Neji. And then there's you, Neji Hyuga, the prodigy of the Hyuga clan's cadet branch. You're obsessed with fate, arrogant, and don't even care about your own teammates. You prance around this village with your head held high, as if you're better than everyone else, and you hold a grudge against your cousin simply because your father chose to sacrifice himself to save his brother and prevent a war. Neji dashed forward with a punch, interrupting Naruto's speech. Before anyone could notice, Naruto grabbed Neji's wrist and twisted it, looking into Neji's eyes with a blank expression. I wasn't done talking yet. Before Neji could react, Naruto used his free hand to kick Neji's right knee, dropping him to one knee. Naruto punched Neji in the face, adding a little more chakra to strengthen it before sending Neji flying backwards and crashing into the wall. Naruto mentally thanked his mother for the advice to boost his attacks by incorporating chakra into his punches, explaining that it was actually developed by someone she considered an adoptive mother. Well, Neji, since you seem so eager to begin this fight, I'll do what I always do. I'll let you have the first hit anywhere you want and I won't even move. Naruto said this as he spread his arms. Neji sat up again, blood dripping from his nose. You're going to be sorry. Byakugan. He charged forward, seeing Naruto not move, and launched his assault. 8 trigrams, 64 palms, he says before hitting Naruto all over his body as he counts it out. 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 24 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms. The final blow was a 2-handed thrust to Naruto's chest, which sent him rocking backwards and landing on his back several feet away. Neji looks at the proctor with his trademark arrogant smirk. Call the match, he's not getting back up. As I said, fate had already decided that I'd win. The crowd's attention was drawn to Naruto as he stood up, trying to control his laughter. All this boasting about the so-called greatest taijutsu style, the gentle fist, and you arrogant Hyugas are nothing more than a bunch of chiropractors giving massages. Naruto turned his back on Neji as he stood up in front of a stunned Neji and an equally stunned audience. Would you mind doing my back for me? I've got this nasty knot that's been bothering me for a while. People all over the stadium start laughing as Naruto makes a joke about Neji. Turning back to face Neji with his trademark fox grin, Naruto assumed his new fighting stance, hands near his face, and no one in Leaf Village recognized it. Shinobi area, stands. Ino was sitting on the edge of her seat, wondering what everyone else was thinking. What fighting style does Naruto employ? I'm not sure. I've never seen anything like it. A voice from behind Ino responded. It appears to be a brawler style of fighting, though this one appears to be different from others I've seen. Might Guy spoke from a few rows behind Ino, alongside Lee, who was walking with crutches, and Tenten. The weapon as mistress of Team 9 was visibly shocked as she watched Naruto brush off one of her teammates' strongest attacks as if it were nothing. I don't understand how he got so strong in a month. He barely made it past the preliminary round. Ino grinned. That is Naruto's secret. He embraced the oldest shinobi trait, always used deception. The truth is Naruto could have been the top student the last 3 years, but he always concealed his intelligence and strength so people would underestimate him. The clone jutsu was the only thing holding him back. How else do you explain him painting the Hokage monument in broad daylight while wearing that orange jumpsuit? Which is an abomination against fashion. All the other females in the area laughed because Ino's fashion queen side is still showing. Guy and Lee both begin to cheer for Naruto's flames of youth, and the two men begin to hug and activate the dreaded sunset genjutsu. Suddenly, Nariko and Aisha begin crying and hugging each other, saying, "Make it stop, make it stop." Yoshino Nara pulled out her frying pan and whacked both men on the head, filling the area with clanging. Put a stop to it. You're terrifying the kids. The other men in the area were terrified, having heard stories about Yoshino Nara's frying pan. Aisha had stars in her eyes as she looked at Yoshino. Wait, where and how can I get one of those? Yoshino smiles and takes Aisha into her arms. After the fights, we'll go shopping. For some reason unknown to them, every man in the stadium felt a cold shiver down their spines. The arena floor. Naruto was about to charge at Neji when he felt a cold chill run down his spine. What in the world was that? He wasn't expecting an answer, but he did get one. Listen to me, you little brat. I'm not sure what that was, but I'm willing to bet one of my tails it wasn't good. So you'd better stay alert. Kurama stated. Naruto turned to face Genma. Didn't you get a cold shiver down your spine as well? He shakes his head and returns his gaze to Neji. Mister, you'd better get ready. I'm returning you to school, so-called prodigy, and the first lesson is taijutsu. Naruto vanished and reappeared behind Neji, punching him in the back, only for Neji to spin around and grab his fist, reacting on instinct. Naruto wraps his left leg around Neji's leg and steps inside his guard, throwing Neji's balance off, before using his other hand to strike him. Naruto grabs the hand that Neji is holding him with and spins around him, twisting his arm around at the same time, flipping Neji over his shoulder and back to the ground. Naruto then leaps a few feet away and watches Neji rise again. And I thought Hyuga was supposed to have all-seeing eyes, was I wrong? You know, this fight hasn't even been going that long and I've already knocked you on your ass. Neji stands on shaky legs, his eyes filled with hatred. Uzumaki, don't underestimate me. Naruto places both of his hands on his cheeks. What's the matter, did I offend your sensibilities? In a baby voice, he said. You dare to disparage the illustrious Hyuga clan, as well as the most powerful dujutsu in the world. Our clan is practically royalty in the land of fire. You will be held accountable for the insults you have hurled here today. Neji said with hatred and venom in his voice, then notices Naruto standing there reading a book. What are you thinking? We're in the middle of a fight, and you dare to pull out a book. Naruto raises one hand, making the universal sign for 1 minute, before inserting a bookmark into his coat. Sorry, but I found the book more interesting than your useless chit-chat, and as for your clan being prestigious. Please. If you knew anything about your clan's history, you'd know that you're descended from a group of cave dwellers from cave country. The mindscape of Naruto. Naruto has a mental image of Hinata in a fur bikini but quickly shakes his head to get rid of it. Present. The Hyuga clan did not arrive here until after the Leaf Village was established. And it was during the First Shinobi War that your clan gained prestige by bribing the daimyo of Fire Country at the time. Naruto said this, which made the audience laugh at Neji's embarrassment while also embarrassing every Hyuga in the audience. Neji charged at Naruto, throwing a series of punches that he was able to avoid thanks to Yoruichi, but that got old quickly. Besides, he could kill Neji anytime he wanted, but this was about humiliating him. He just had a few ideas for that, and now it was time for part 1. He stepped inside to avoid a strike to the head, slapped and backhanded Neji just hard enough to sting, then sent him staggering backwards with a palm strike to the chest, a big smile on his face. As expected, Neji's rage grew, and this time he drew back his right hand and drove his fist into Neji's balls, then hopped up to his feet and back a step as Neji folded over and dropped to his knees, hands between his legs. Naruto let out a deep sigh. Oh, Hanabi kicked you harder than that. Don't tell me the Hyuga family jewels are made of glass? Naruto smiled as a large portion of the audience began to laugh, the majority of whom were Konoha shinobi. It's time for part 2. He pondered. I've been thinking about something. Since you're and Hinata's fathers are twins, I'm actually surprised you aren't a girl given the Hyuga proclivity for daughters, but I can't help but think you'd be a better person if you were. Neji glared angrily at him and slowly pushed himself up. And speaking of which, I normally would never say this because of how much I respect women, especially Kunoichi, but I have to tell you that if you were a girl, you'd be built like Hinata and... I hate to say it, but in your case I doubt any of the ladies in attendance will mind. If you were a Kunoichi, I would have tossing you around the arena by your tits for the last 5 minutes to give you a proper lesson. And he subtly scanned the crowd, particularly the Konoha section, for reactions. About half of them blushed, many gasped in shock, many looked stunned, and a few were actually smiling. And he wasn't surprised that one of them was Anko. He was relieved not to hear any objections or protests to what he said. His face has turned bright red with rage. Neji charged him again, and Naruto continued to bobble and weave around Neji's attacks, but this time he called them out. Left, right, uppercut. As he calls out what Neji was going to do next seemed to enrage Neji even more because his attacks weren't having any effect and became more enraged because every time he dodged he'd quickly counter-attack with a body blow, his chakra-enhanced punches done specifically to inflict pain but cause minimal damage, giving the appearance that they were sparring. While dodging the next blow, Naruto stuns Neji with an uppercut to the stomach, stands and yanks Neji's robe up and over his head, then spins around behind Neji and sends him staggering forward with a kick to the ass before Neji falls to his knees. You're aware that you have serious anger issues. Have you considered taking anger management classes? I know for a fact that the Yamanaka clan has specialists who assist people from 1:30 to 4 o'clock on Mondays and Thursdays. Getting down on one knee when Neji looks at Naruto, his entire body aches like he's never felt before. How did you get so strong when you were the last in your class and I was the top student? I should be able to easily defeat you. I've hit all of your chakra points on multiple occasions. Naruto beams. A wise man once said, military devices leading to victory must not be revealed ahead of time. And deception only works when the other party is unaware of it. As a result, great secrecy is required, possibly even deception about the deception. After Naruto said this, every single shinobi, regardless of rank or village, nodded their heads, including several spies from other villages who had been given orders to come in and watch the fights in the stadium. And to answer your question about why your attack isn't working on me, it's quite simple. The Uzumaki clan has a very dense chakra, not to mention we've had a technique for generations to counteract your family's taijutsu style. While it is true that your clan discovered the ability to see the chakra network, it was the Uzumaki clan's knowledge of the chakra system that allowed your family to figure out and create your taijutsu style. Hokage stand. Hiruzen was becoming concerned. He couldn't figure out how Naruto got all this information, but he knew it had to be something to do with Wave, and he was already making plans to send Jiraiya in to see what he could find. As the Leaf Village spy master, he should be able to easily infiltrate a new village and hopefully find out how all this information was given to Naruto that he wasn't ready to reveal. The voice of Kazekage jolted him out of his reverie. I must say, Lord Hokage, that boy is quite intriguing. If Sasuke Uchiha does not appear, I might be interested in seeing him confront my son. Hiruzen realized he was an imposter at that moment because he knew the Kazekage would never refer to Gaara as his son, and he thinks. So, Orochimaru, that's your plan. The arena floor. Naruto flashes a sly grin at Neji. Now, Neji, since I've just proven that I can kick your ass in taijutsu, it's time to start lesson number 2. Ninjutsu. I tried to be nice, I gave you every chance I could. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish this? Just tell me one thing, Uzumaki. Why are you so adamant about defending a useless failure? I've known her since she was born, and she has never done anything worthy of the prestigious family she was born into. The fact that she's been in love with you for years embarrasses her even more, and now she's dragging her sister through the mud with her. Tell me, has she spread her legs for you yet? With all the different times she watched you, I wouldn't be surprised if bearing children was the only contribution she could ever make to the clan. She was a no-talent failure with nothing else to offer the clan, and she was unworthy of her position, just like any children she would have had. You mentioned my grudge against her, so I'm guessing she told you what happened on the day she turned 3, but just to be sure, I'll tell you the whole story and why I despise her, as well as the hidden cloud village in the main branch. It was her 3rd birthday, and we were celebrating the end of the small war with the hidden cloud village. Neji said, half smiled, then straightened up. The hidden cloud village had sent an ambassador to the village to sign a peace treaty. Later that night he snuck into Hyuga compound and kidnapped Hinata so the hidden cloud village could have the Byakugan, and by whatever miracle her father managed to stop the kidnapping by killing the ambassador, and the hidden cloud village denied all knowledge of the attempt and demanded the hidden leaf village hand over the man who killed the ambassador. Neji said this as he reached up and removed his headband, revealing the green seal on his brow. That day, I discovered my faith. I am a caged bird. So it's because of Hinata. If she hadn't been born, my father would still be alive. Naruto simply shook his head. And I always thought it was girls who had daddy issues and men who had mother issues. And I should know because I grew up with a couple of girls who have daddy issues. The entire stadium laughed at this remark. Shinobi area, stands. Both Ino and Hana crossed their arms, narrowing their eyes at Naruto and muttering to themselves, he better not be talking about me, and, I don't have daddy issues, causing all the adults in the area to chuckle. The arena floor. Naruto let out a sigh. But you forgot about how the 3rd Raikage was killed by his own son 6 months later when he had had enough of his father destroying the Cloud Village's reputation, and the man became the 4th Raikage. Ai has no interest in any of the bloodlines, he values true strength over bloodlines and believes that all bloodlines are nothing more than a handicap, that shinobi who have them rely on them too much and would be defenseless if they suddenly lost the ability to use it because they did not train for the scenario, which is true and false. Some clans do require its members to train without it. Your clan is not one of them, and if you suddenly lost your Byaku, you would be defense. Naruto then reaches into his pocket and pulls out 2 flat stones, throwing one to the left and one to the right, and makes the tiger hand sign, releasing a small burst of chakra. The stones leave his hand, and within seconds the stones begin pouring water out of storage seals engraved on them. This continued for a while, filling up the stadium floor, forcing all 3 ninjas in their arena to use the water walking technique to stay above the water. With a bored expression on his face, Neji quickly pulled out a kunai and threw it at Naruto with an explosive tag attached. Naruto catches it between his fingers by the explosive tag, and to everyone's surprise, the tag does not go off. Naruto turns to face Neji. Please tell me you didn't just use Fuinjutsu to take out an Uzumaki. My family basically invented Fuinjutsu, and my great-great-uncle, or whatever, invented the explosive tag. You have a better chance of taking out the sun with a squirt gun than you do of defeating an Uzumaki with Fuinjutsu. Tell me, Neji, did you even do any research on the Uzumaki family before you came to the stadium? But I have to say, I'm surprised you got one of these. This is a level 8 explosive tag. Technically, we only use them during wartime and are not permitted to use them in combat. Additionally, you must be at least Jonin to purchase these. It was also agreed by all 5 ninja villages at the final Hokage summit at the end of the Third Great Shinobi War that using one of these outside of wartime is punishable by life in prison. You are now technically under arrest. Do you have anything else to say before I end the fight by arresting you, Neji? Neji produced a number of the same explosive tags. I came here prepared to die today just to see the failure's face after taking another person she cares about away from her. Naruto's pupils constricted. What do you mean, taking someone she cares about? Neji starts laughing. I'm the one who poisoned her mother and forced her into premature labor, which killed her. As Naruto's hand went to the tanto on his back, pulling the blade from its sheath and calling out, the entire stadium was filled with killer intent. Bring them out, Luneta. Naruto appeared in a blinding flash of light, holding his extended butterfly swords. The once clear blue sky has been replaced by dark gray clouds, and the water on which the 3 ninjas are standing has become choppy as Naruto's voice boomed overhead. You're going to pay for what you've done with your life, Neji Hyuga. Seating in the stadium. The stadium fell silent after Neji revealed that he poisoned Hinata's mother, causing her to go into premature labor and ultimately killing her. This triggered a flood of emotions throughout the stadium, the majority of which ranged from rage to hatred. All who knew the late Hyuga matriarch knew that her kind heart and kind nature could only be matched by her daughter, who was famous throughout the elemental nations and known as a kind-hearted kunoichi because she would always cry after a fight with an enemy. It started slowly, but one by one, people began yelling for Naruto to kill the tyrant, until nearly the entire stadium was on their feet yelling and demanding that Naruto make him feel pain. Kurenai was holding Hinata and Hanabi in her arms, both girls crying as she gently rubbed their backs, whispering soothing words in their ears, trying to pour out all of her love. At the same time, she was looking at Neji with a hatred that would turn most men to brimstone for causing pain to the girl she saw as her daughter. Her only thought at the moment is, I hope Naruto kills that bastard. Unbeknownst to her, the same thought was going through the heads of the other clan heads' wives, all of whom were friends with the late Hyuga matriarch. Arena. Naruto stared at Neji, his knuckles white from gripping both of his butterfly swords so tightly. Neji Hyuga, I'm only going to ask you this once, what do you mean when you say you killed Hinata's mother? Asked Naruto, his voice booming like thunder. For the first time in his life, Neji Hyuga was truly terrified, and he was afraid that he had made a mistake by revealing that he had a hand in killing Hinata's mother. The pure power hanging in the air, mixed with a killer intent, was unlike anything he had ever felt before, and with nearly the entire audience demanding his death, he's doing his best to hide the fear. Very well, Uzumaki, I'll tell you how I killed her mother. It was a few months after my father was forced to sacrifice himself, and it's kind of ironic how it happened, because everyone in our family knows for a fact that the failure has a deep affection for cinnamon, but you see, her mother was deathly allergic to cinnamon and she was a creature of habit and she would have tea every day exactly at 12:15 with her lunch, and all I had to do was put a... Naruto takes a deep breath to relax and turns to face Neji. You have crossed the line. For you to stand there and say that you would willingly raise your hand against a family member sickens me to my core, but to hear you say that you would wish death upon a baby who had not even drawn her first breath crosses the line. It is because of people like you that this world is cursed with so much hatred. It's because fate decided they'd be born first, obviously, Neji says, his eyes narrowing. Naruto sighs and shakes his head, you're mistaken. The older brother is born first to protect the younger siblings so they can learn from their mistakes and not repeat them. I came here today to humiliate you in the hopes of making you see the error of your ways and making you see the light. We in the Uzumaki clan value family loyalty above all else. In fact, people used to say that the Uzumaki family's loyalty rivaled that of the Inuzuka clan. Whether they were family, friends, or allies, any Uzumaki would lay down their lives to protect them. Naruto took up his position. You asked how I got so strong, and the truth is that I am only as strong as the people I have to protect. My strength comes from them, and the more people I have to protect, the stronger I become. I consider the people of this village to be my family, right down to every man, woman, and child, and I would gladly give my life to protect them. To protect them, I would storm the gates of hell and face the armies of the underworld. I would even take on all 9 of the tailed beasts at the same time with nothing but my bare fists and dumb luck if it meant ensuring their safety and buying them that extra minute. Naruto took a breather to sigh. Neji, your hatred for Hinata stems from what happened to your father when she had no involvement, and what you did to her mother demonstrates what kind of person you are. You're not any better than Sasuke.
You're both consumed by your hatred for the people who you believe wronged you, and you've both had multiple chances to let it go and move on, but you both refuse at every turn.
Look at me, Neji, my mother's entire family and nation were wiped out by 3 of the 5 major villages, and yet I hold no grudge against the 3 villages or the people who live there. If I were like you or Sasuke, I would go out there and kill every single Iwa, Kumo, and Kiri ninja that I came across, all for some stupid vendetta. And do you want to know why I don't? It's because it would only lead to more violence. Another reason is that it was during a war, and when wars happen people die. We Uzumakis do not do senseless violence, and if I saw anybody from those 3 countries being hurt I would do what I could to help them, because that is the way of the Uzumaki clan, to help those who need help regardless of what country they are from or what their past is, Naruto says. Those who had tormented Naruto or tried to make his life miserable, or who had been part of the mobs that chased him as a child, or who had thrown him out of stores or businesses, were shocked at this, each vowing to make amends, but this was drowned out by the crowd cheering Naruto on. The Hokage booth. Hiruzen couldn't help but smile as he thinks about his sensei and what they would think of the boy he saw as a grandson, Hashirama sensei, Tobirama sensei. That boy down there is the true embodiment of the will of fire, he says to himself as he looks up at the sky. Minato and Kushina, are you watching this? I'm sure one day your son will make. Arena. Naruto gives Neji his trademark foxy grin. Let's see if those eyes can keep up with me. Suddenly, Naruto appeared in multiple places at once, but they were after images and lasted only a second. With his Byakugan active, Neji was trying his hardest to keep track of him while throwing his kunai with the explosive tags, but was failing. Naruto keeps doing the flash step around the stadium. What's the deal, Neji? You can't keep up with me. If you want, I can move a little faster. A slash mark appears on Neji's chest, cutting his clothes enough to draw blood, followed by several other cuts all over his body. Let's see you dodge this, Neji, Naruto says as the water from the stadium rises up towards his butterfly sword in his right hand. The blade quickly begins to glow from the water and power surrounding it, and he raises the blade above his head and calls out with a downward slashing motion, Water Wave Arc Cutter. Neji spins, creating a dome of chakra around his body while calling out, 8 trigrams. Palms revolving heaven, as a massive, blade-like arc of water races towards him, and knowing he won't be able to dodge it in time. The arc slammed into the dome, shattering it and sending Neji flying backwards, bouncing along the water before landing, before getting up on one knee and taking deep breaths. How did you manage to get past the Hyuga clan's ultimate defense? Naruto had his blade ready for another attack when he came to a halt. I've already told you how I'm here to protect my family. Naruto flips the blade upside down and stabs it into the water, calling out, Water Wave with a bang. Suddenly, the water beneath Neji begins to bubble, and he jumps backwards just in time as the water he had been standing on exploded a moment later, only to have to jump again as the water exploded again the moment he touched down on it. This happened every time he touched down on the water. While in the air, Naruto suddenly appeared behind him with a kick to the back, sending him flying to the water below, but before he could touch the water, Naruto reappeared standing on the water. Another kick to his chest sent him bouncing, only to reappear above him with an uppercut to his chin and an axe kick to the head sent him crashing into the water. Seats for the Konoha Shinobi. Guy Sensei, when my legs are healed, I must increase my training so that I can be as strong as Naruto and match his speed and strength, Lee exclaims. Guy encircles Lee with his arm. Do not be concerned, my young student. We will increase your training and you will be as young as Naruto. If we can't bring you up to his level, I'll walk 500 laps around the village on my hands. Before the two men could hug and activate the sunset jutsu, they hear a small throat being cleared. Both men turn to see none other than Aisha standing up with her arms crossed, her eyes narrowed. In her hand is the frying pan of Yoshino Nara, and she's tapping her foot. Deciding they do not want to get hit for a second time with a frying pan, both men grab Tenten and use her as a human shield to ward off the little Uzumaki's anger. Tenten used the only polite method available to avoid being a human shield. Don't use me as a human shield because you irritated her. Yoshino looks up at Aisha. Auntie, did I get that right? She was picked up in a bear hug while her aunt gushed about how adorable she is. I may have to keep you for myself, and Naruto will have to put up with it. Naruto is well aware that he should not argue with me, Yoshino said, and the entire section burst out laughing. Off to the side, Ino and Anko both look on jealously, the same thought running through their heads. That's it, when we're done fighting, I'm going back to the compound and finding myself one of the kids so I can make a mini-me. Both women start laughing strangely, making everyone look at them strangely. Sume looks away from the amusing scene of a taijutsu specialist being terrified of a 4-year-old girl and planning to spread this at the bar later, then looks down at her daughter as she looks up at the sky. What's up, pup? I'm trying to figure out why there's a moon out in the middle of the day, Noriko says to her mother. Looking up at the clouds, they can see a small, thin crescent moon poking out between them. I have no idea, Sume replied. As they return to the stadium, they hear a loud splash and see Neji basically do a belly flop, making everyone flinch. I know I shouldn't feel sorry for him, but that has to hurt, Hana observed. Arena. Watching Neji crash into the water below, Naruto landed several feet away, and as he watched Neji struggle to stand, Naruto is reminded of something his father said to him. Flashback. After training, Naruto and Minato are standing in one of the training grounds. Naruto, come here. I have something I want to tell you, Minato says, getting down on one knee and placing his hands on his son's shoulders. Naruto, you need to remember that while the Chunin exams are about showing strength, it's also about impressing the crowd, and simply beating someone to win doesn't always impress the judges. Present. Naruto returns his butterfly swords to normal after deciding not to reveal any more of his abilities in the first fight, and the clouds above vanish, revealing a bright and clear sky, before placing his tanto back in its sheath. I'm going to show you one of my family's original jutsu, Naruto says, quickly going through a dozen hand signs, ending on the boar sign, then calling out, Secret Whirlpool Jutsu, Great Maelstrom. Suddenly, the water beneath them turned into a massive whirlpool, and to the surprise of the crowd, Naruto jumped into the pool, but unlike Neji, who was being thrown around, Naruto began to skate along the ridges of the whirlpool, and every time he passed Neji, he'd deliver another blow. Naruto then decided to stop the whirlpool, jumped back to get some distance, and saw Neji on. Do not underestimate me, Neji says as he rises to his feet. He reaches into his pouch and pulls out a food pill to regain some of his strength. As he swallows his food pill, Naruto shakes his head and calls out, Water Style, Breaching Whale Jutsu. Suddenly, a large whale made of water breaches out of the water and crashes on its side, sending a tidal wave at Neji, but this time Neji was smart enough to jump back and high enough on the wall to make the tidal wave miss him. As the water finally settled, Naruto could hear the children in the audience laughing and cheering because they had gotten to see a whale. Naruto smiled, pleased that he had been able to entertain the children, and he could also hear the children telling their parents that they wanted to be ninja. Neji smiles, thinking he's finally got the upper hand on Naruto. Let's see if you can contact me here. I figured it out, you need to hit me with your water, he said, this only to be interrupted by Naruto's incantation, which he is performing while holding his right palm flat and pointing at Neji with his left hand on his right wrist. Oh, Lord. All creation, flutter of wings, ye who bear the name of man. The sea barrier surges, Inferno and Pandemonium, march on to the south. Shakuho, Hado number 31. A.N. Red fire cannon, Naruto stated. The moment Naruto began the incantation, a red aura surrounded him, a red orb appeared in front of his palm, and all of the shinobi of the older generation in the audience thought the same thing. Naruto had somehow perfected his father's Rasengan. This thought was quickly dashed as Naruto finished the incantation and the red orb shot at Neji only to miss him. As Neji quickly dropped on the water, he still felt the heat from the attack and heard it smash into the wall, leaving only a crater. The proctor Genma, who had managed to stay out of the way of the fight, had the senbon he was famous for chewing drop out of his mouth, and the audience fell silent as a result of the power behind the attack. Naruto then raises his right hand, aims at Neji, and begins another incantation, generating a torrent of blue energy in his hand. Oh, Lord. Man. Wear a mask of flesh and bone and flutter your wings. Truth and temperance, unleash only a sliver of your claws on this sinless wall of dreams. Hado number 33. Sokatsui. A.N. Blue fire, crash down. The energy Naruto summoned moves out like a large wave of energy, and Neji tries again to use his 8 trigrams, palms revolving heaven, but as the blue energy slams into him, his screams can be heard throughout the stadium. As the energy from the attack faded, Neji's body was revealed to have burn marks all over it. Naruto stood there, watching as Neji fell to his knees, panting and trying to catch his breath. Even after taking a food pill, the damage to him was too much for him, and he couldn't keep up with the damage that he had taken. Naruto approached him, but as soon as he was in range, Neji leapt to his feet and grabbed Naruto by the throat. Now that I've got you, how stupid can you be to walk up to your enemy? What do you have to say now, Uzumaki? He says as he starts to squeeze. Naruto simply grins. A.N. Red smoke escape, Bakudo number 21. Sakiaden. A massive cloud of red smoke erupted around the two of them. The crowd held its breath as they heard fighting through a smokescreen. Naruto appeared from behind the smokescreen, sliding on the water and calling out. Wind style. Exploding air palm. A windstorm erupted from Naruto's extended hand, dispersing the smoke and revealing Neji standing with additional bruises on his body. That's it, I'm ending this. I gave you every chance, Neji, and I'm going to end this now. I said you were going to pay with your life, and an Uzumaki never goes back on our word. When something bad happens in your life, you have 3 choices. You can either let it define you, let it destroy you, or let it strengthen you. Both you and Sasuke let what happened in your past destroy you, while I let my past strengthen me. Seijo Sabaku, Bakudo number 63. A.N. Ethereal binding chain. A golden chain appeared and wrapped around Neji. Those who knew Kushina Uzumaki were surprised to see her son wearing the golden chain for which she had become famous. Naruto watches Neji struggle against the golden chains. This is the end for you. Goodbye Neji Hyuga, perhaps in the next life you will find the peace that you desired, Naruto says, and black markings appear all over Neji's body. I'm sure you didn't know the Uzumaki clan can write seals solely with chakra. Forbidden Uzumaki Jutsu, Chakra Gate Lock. As his skin turned red, Neji began to emit a large amount of chakra. Then, all of a sudden, he let out a painful scream, followed by a large explosion that shook the entire stadium. When the smoke cleared, only Naruto and the proctor remained on the water, with Neji nowhere to be seen. After a few moments of not seeing Neji, Genma decides to call the fight off, winner of first match Naruto Uzumaki. As this was announced, the crowd went wild, rooting and cheering for Naruto. After that, Genma announced that they would take a short break before the next match. After sealing up the water, Naruto heads up into the audience. As soon as he reaches the section where his family and friends are seated, he is tackled by Hinata and Hanabi, and he wraps his arms around both of them. Don't worry, he won't bother you anymore, he's paying for his crimes. For this, he received a kiss on both cheeks from the girls, and once both girls moved aside, Nariko and Aisha hugged both his legs. Naruto simply rubs their shoulders. How's my favorite Inuzuka doing today? He asked after hearing 3 people say hello. He made a small bow to Guy, Tenten, and Lee. I'm sorry about your teammate. The 3 remaining members of Team 9 each look sad, but tell Naruto that they understand why he did it and are saddened by his actions. They no longer considered him a teammate after he admitted to killing Hinata's mother. Before Naruto could finish his sentence, Hana kissed him all over his face. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She exclaimed as she let him go and ran away. Getting up from the floor, he turns to face Sume. What's the deal with that? Sume smiles broadly at him. You just made her a lot of money. She bet everything she had on the match. Naruto just rolls his eyes and stifles a chuckle, mentally reminding himself to send some clones out to collect his own bats, which he had to put down using a combination of shadow clones and henge. What did you do to him? Anko inquired. You all remember how the 8 inner gates work, right? The majority of them nod. Basically, what I did was reverse the process. Unlike Guy and Lee, who open the gates to gain massive power, the seal I use locks the 8 inner gates completely until it explodes due to the high pressure of chakra in the body, just like filling a water balloon up too much will cause it to pop. Everyone nods in agreement. Nariko raises her eyes to Naruto. Can I ask you a question, big brother? Naruto simply smiles. You just did, the little Inuzuka says, pouting. What exactly do you want? Mom was telling me about your pranks again, and I was wondering if she was telling me the truth. Did you really put a pig in Hana's bedroom because she never cleaned it? Naruto erupted in laughter. I certainly did. Hana had just returned, her face flushed as she let out a growl-like roar. You were it. Naruto began to back away gradually. It wasn't my fault. Your mother gave me the idea. She said your room was filthy enough for a pig to live in. And I had to find out if she was right.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.